I know you mentioned earlier that the Fed is not really the main driver at the moment, but do you think the Fed put is still alive? Because I was reading the Goldman Sachs report putting 45% probability on a recession scenario. They're seeing quite a few, in fact, 25 basis points of quote unquote insurance cuts. Is that safe to say that the Fed put is still on the table for the markets?
I think it depends on how this unfolds. So let me give you an example. And this I'll speak for if I were in my old seat at the Dallas Fed. If growth remains stable, what's stable? Even 1.5, 1 3/4, but particularly if the unemployment rate doesn't spike up, I think the Fed is going to be able to move only when they see demonstrable improvement in inflation. I think they'll be reluctant to move, and they'll feel if unemployment is not spiking up, they'll feel they have the luxury to be patient. If, on the other hand, you see dramatic drop in growth, much more severe, unemployment spiking up, and it's clear we're on our way to 5% plus and higher, then I think the Fed may reason that that the demand destruction will be disinflationary, offset the cost issues from tariffs, and then they'll move. They're not going to be preemptive, but they'll eventually move, and then you may get a number of cuts. But again, it very much depends on the scenario. And I think if I'm sitting at the Fed, I'm going to take it one meeting at a time. I'm not going to prejudge this. There's so much in flux. I'm going to allow the situation to unfold. I'm unlikely to do anything in May. And I'm going to take it one meeting at a time because the situation is so uncertain. So I think these forecasts, I've said many times during this period, it's better right now to be a risk manager than a prognosticator. I think it's very hard to be a prognosticator right now because we don't know what decisions are going to be made and we don't know how this is going to unfold.
Yeah, and given the uncertainty that you were just talking about, I know that you said you don't see a recession right now, but you do see some signs for that possible scenario. What about the probability of a recession, I don't know, happening as a sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy? The fact that we're talking about recession fears and tariff war between the U.S. and China and not really knowing all these answers to these tariff-related questions, could that lead to something, I don't know, worse than what we're braced for?
Yeah, so we're right now, in my opinion, kind of at a crossroads, a point of inflection. Right now, businesses are uncertain at this moment, and consumers are uncertain. And so they're on the margin, even after stocking up to preempt price increases, they may be delaying purchase decisions. I know businesses are taking it one step at a time. If you get uncertainty that lasts long enough, yes, it ultimately could lead to a further slowing. I'll add one other factor here. You've also got millions of undocumented immigrants who are in the workforce, who had previously been consumers. I don't think we like in the United States that they came in and are undocumented, but they're in the workforce. And I think there's a chill right now among that group where I'm hearing reports they're not reporting for work. Some percentage of them, they may not be shopping. They're unsure of their status, and that may be having a bit of a cooling effect. And so you've got all these forces at play. We don't need to necessarily have a severe downturn, but I think much of it will depend on decisions that the administration makes here in the next few weeks in the near future. If you had enough weeks in a row of uncertainty and hesitation, that ultimately is not good for economic growth, and it makes it more likely we're going to have a more severe slowing.